I've always dreamt about living in an expensive apartment with modernistic architecture and perfectly mowed lawns up in the Highlands or right off Cherry Creek Boulevard. It honestly wasn't until I visited my brother's very expensive home did I realize that I no longer wished to live the way I've dreamt all these years. Because I realized whose expense I'd be living on, whose home I'd be living in, or worse, whose home I'd take over. This is when I learned the word gentrification. This is when I also Googled the word gentrification. And this is when I took my stand against it. I interviewed a girl named Huitzili Aronia. She advocates against gentrification after having experienced it as a young girl. Huitzili lives in the Highlands, a neighborhood in North Denver. Historically, the area has been comprised of a mix of Italians and Latinos while she was growing up there. She spoke to me about fairness and equality as it relates to neighborhoods going through gentrification, or so-called economic redevelopment. Huitzili specifically pointed out that it is fair that the homes being renovated and remodeled were on the market for anyone to buy. However, in a Hispanic neighborhood, a family's income varies from the income of a Caucasian family. With insufficient money, Hispanic families are unable to afford to buy a home, let alone survive economically in rich Caucasian neighborhoods. I could relate to where Huitzili was coming from. When I visit my brother in his very new and very expensive home off Colfax that cost him $600,000, I was shocked to see that his home did not fit in like the rest. Like so many homes in the area, my brother's home was overpriced and in the middle of a low-income and old-style Italian neighborhood. You could sense that long-time residents were being squeezed out. Huitzili describes her childhood in the Highlands as a small Victorian home that was baby blue. Once the renovations began in her community, all the homes were white and 4 levels tall. In addition to changes in the houses, several pieces of street art and murals in the neighborhoods were also torn down. Huitzili remembers looking at the window and seeing contractors in suits, white men coming and going as the remodeling of homes underwent. The end result is that Huitzili and her family have been pushed out of their own neighborhood to the outskirts of North Denver. Huitzili said visiting corner markets in her new community with $5 in her pocket, like she used to do in her old neighborhood, suddenly felt like a joke. Her favorite Italian dessert bar was replaced by a Whole Foods store. Huitzili felt unwelcomed and like a foreigner in her own neighborhood. Today, Huitzili is a student at CU Denver and works a full-time job. On her commute home, she sees streets full of U-Haul trucks. She says with time, the cars have gotten nicer and the people are mostly white. She feels disconnected and poor. I have seen similar problems during my childhood. Not only did I grow up here, but me and my family are from Lebanon and Syria. Memories of home are mostly of cities covered by dust and bomb shavings due to 12 years of civil wars. While Huitzili and I come from 2 different worlds, I can relate to the empty feeling she has in her heart, because we both yearn for the same thing. We miss the soul of our cities.